front and surrounding their houses. Muttamaniki or Padi cinema. That is the first act against nature which we do every morning. But the nature is trying to do is to come to us as fallen leaves or small grass. So we will tell nature not to come to us, to be away. So one of the interesting questions which people have been asking was whether we are also part of nature or are we different from nature. So this is one of the interesting cardinal questions of modernity, and we assume that we are different. We are different from all the other different species which are occupying this particular planet. But looking very closely, we are now realizing that we are very much part and parcel of nature. Nature is not just outside us, nature is also inside us. In fact, every human body is a complex association of a large number of organisms. In fact, data says that a human being has got nearly 30 billion cells in his or her body. But in the gut, we have nearly 39 billion microbes. And if you look at the number of genes we have, I have the estimate over here, we have somewhere around 20 to 25,000 genes for human beings. But we have nearly 3 million genes in our body held by microorganisms. And we cannot live without them. They are part and parcel of our life. We need them to digest us, and our mood is decided once. After some time, you will feel hungry by around noon, but actually, it is the microbes which are getting hungry, and they are telling our brain that you need to feed us. So, and there is a axis called the gut-brain axis, mediated through a nerve called the vagus nerve, which communicates directly from gut to the brain. And one of the major functions of this big association of bacteria is to produce a large number of, they break down carbohydrates and they produce vitamins. And one of the important molecule which it makes, asks the brain to synthesize is called as serotonin. And serotonin, we all know, is called as the joy substance. If you have a high serotonin, you will be happy. If you go down, you become sad. So your likes, dislikes, your hunger, everything is mediated by the nature of inside you, living inside you. So we now understand that we are very much part of nature. And another interesting question which human beings has to say was about the balance in nature. Even if you ask a school kid, they will speak about balance of nature. So it started from Aristotle himself. He used to say that the nature is a balanced setting of everything is balanced out there. And this emanated from Bible and it was taken forward for a long period of time. Now we understand that there is nothing called a balance of nature existing. Scientists have understood that there is nothing called balance. There are different levels of equilibrium. They can be damaged, they come back, and they go to different extremes. I mean, initially, studies on the populations of animals used to say that there is a balance of nature. Like for example, the simple example was this: if there is a increase in the number of deers in a forest, what happens is that the amount of grass will come down because all the deers will be feeding on grass and the amount of grass will go down. And when the amount of grass goes down, the number of deers has also go down. So there is a cyclic process which regulates things, and there is a regulation happening. So this was a general field. But we have now understood that it is not as simple as that. There are many different levels of equilibriums, and at some points of time they can go down, and they cannot come back also. We call it that process as mass extinctions. And when we speak of the planet has experienced at least 5 different mass extinctions. And then big events. We normally distinguish between 2 types of extinctions. One is a background extinction and the other is a mass extinction. Background extinction is a continuous process where not all organisms are destined to live on the planet for a large number of years. After a few billions of years, which is just go away. And there's a background extinction happening. But mass extinctions are big events wherein large number of organisms go together. The first one, it killed nearly 95% of the life forms existing in the planet. The second removed nearly 70%. So all the extinctions taken together was not less than 80% of the species was lost in each of the mass extinctions. We had five. And scientists say that we have now ended the sixth mass extinction, which is ongoing right now. Which is higher than nearly 100 to 1,000 times higher extinction is happening than the background extinction, which has to happen. So this is the scenario. So nature and human species, we are also going to say goodbye one day, and there will be other species which will be taking up again. There are some species which are long lasting. So if you think about which is a successful species on the planet, scientists would rank the cockroach much higher than human beings, because they have survived much longer period, and they have not invented any machines which will kill them. Man is the only animal which creates equipment which can kill us. No other animal does that. So nature has got a problem. And the sixth mass extinction is basically because of we people, because of Homo sapiens. All the other five extinctions were because of totally different reasons, which was beyond the control of any of the animal living on the planet. But this is something which we are causing. And now we are thinking about how best we can extend our stay here in this particular planet. So what our environmental movements try to do is just to expand the time which we can comfortably stay over here. Big changes are happening. Trump is going to buy Greenland. Greenland was not green, it was white earlier. It is now becoming much greener because the planet is getting hotter and hotter, and the ice is getting depleted. Gradually, vegetation is coming up in Greenland. So there is an area which is unexplored for fossils. And all the fossils which had been of the organisms to live on the planet, including plants, trees, animals, they are transformed into what we now call as petroleum. And that is what we use for running around, petrol, diesel, aviation fuel, and those things. So we are basically making use of the life which was there on this planet long back. Now, the development which we think as of now is basically a process in which we burn more and more carbon. Our success is something which we relate to the amount of carbon which we burn. I will explain how it is done. Like for example, you can remember Gandhi also while I narrate this story. If I go to my office walking, I don't spend any, I don't burn any carbon. It's zero carbon spent. Or the only carbon dioxide which goes out is through my respiration, what I exhale. If I use a bicycle, also I don't burn any carbon to travel. But if I sell my bicycle and if I buy a scooter, I'll be supposed to be a successful person, right? A person who can afford a scooter. And if I sell my scooter and buy a motorbike, I will become a much more successful boy. And if I graduate to a 350cc Enfield Bullet, I'll be supposed to be a better person, successful person. And if I sell my bike and I shift over to a car, my relatives, my neighbors, they will feel that I am really getting successful. And if I sell my Maruti 800 and buy an Audi or a Benz, I'll be supposed to be a more successful person in my village, right? But then, have I changed? I'm the same old person. The only thing which has changed is the amount of carbon I burn. I burn more carbon, and I am supposed to be a successful person. Now, our success is measured based on the amount of carbon we burn, and the more carbon you burn, the hotter this planet is going to be. So this is a simple direct relation. And Gandhi was one guy who tried to tell that this is not the way it has to move forward. And also, when you speak of development, there's a very interesting story which I wanted to tell this experience after hearing Ramki when he was trying about who's development and what is development. There was an interesting case where when the Europeans reached Africa, they were surprised to see that the women in Africa were walking along with men. And they were really shocked. And they told that this is an indicator of underdevelopment. Women walking. And this is a Victorian Europe where women were not supposed to be walking. They used to tell that women are very weak. They used to have long nails, indicating that I am not walking with my hands. And they would have long frocks, which others has to handle when they are walking. And when they have to step down from the tram car, somebody has to hold their hand so that they can get down. And they will immediately faint if they see blood. And a shocking news, they will collapse. So that is the type of image of a woman which the Europeans had. And when they came to Africa, they found women working as equal as the men did. And this was taken as a reason for underdevelopment. And they would tell us, see, women are working. So we had to civilize them. And it took many more years for Europe to come to the level of Africa, where women can work along with men. So this is the way it works. So basically, what we are now being told is that we need to save the planet, we need to reduce the carbon footprint. And one of the first confusions which I had regarding this carbon story was when one of the American presidents told that if the food habits of India changes, it will not be good for the planet. So I read it and I was really confused why the American president is concerned about the food habits of we who are living in India. And when I read it for the second time, the second American president who told the same thing, I went behind it and found that he was not speaking about the villages in North India where people feed only once or twice a day. They were speaking about those people, not Keralites who are having 3 full meals a day. What happens is that if they change their habit, if they shift from vegetarianism to non-veg food, that's going to have a huge impact on the planet because we need to produce a large amount of meat, which is at the cost of burning a large amount of carbon. That was his concern. So my concern was our president is not our president never ever asked this question, what we are eating on. But American president asked this question basically because America cannot forego this lifestyle which they are moving forward right now. And the best indication is happened last week when America pulled out of the Paris Agreement. Trump told that we are not agreeing with the Paris Agreement. And what was this Paris Agreement? Paris Agreement was an agreement which a large number of countries have signed, which tries to limit the temperature increase to maybe 1.5 or maximum 2 degrees centigrade than the pre-industrial revolution temperature. The average temperature of our planet is how much? What would be the average? We have very cold places. The poles are very cold. The Himalayas are very cold. We have hot places like the Sahara, the deserts. If you average it out, it will come to somewhere around 14.5 degrees centigrade. That's the average temperature of our planet. And that is increasing. For the past 170 years, it has gone up by just 1 degree. Just 1 degree rise has created a lot of problems. Like for example, at the poles, ice is melting, it is coming to the sea, and the sea level is rising because of 2 reasons. The sea is getting warmer. When the sea gets warmer, it swells off. That's the first thing. And the second is the ice caps on the poles are melting and adding on to the water. The sea level is rising. Many of the Pacific islands have already gone underwater. Our neighboring country called Maldives, the highest point in Maldives is just 4 meters above sea level. So they are in a perilous situation. You go there, when you talk to the kids there, school kids, they are dreaming about a land where they are going to be settling later on. Because they know that by the time they become adults, they will have to leave their country. So UN has given permission for people in Maldives to buy land elsewhere. So they are buying land in Sri Lanka, in New Zealand, in Australia. So they're about to shift. Our islands also, like Lakshadweep, they are going to have a tough time. And in Kerala, we have a place called Kuttanad, which is already below sea level. So, and that is the rice bowl of Kerala, basically. And our rice bowl is going to be underwater very soon. And species are starting to move. If you talk to the fishermen, they will say that the fishes which they used to catch from the coast of Kerala is now got from the coast of Visakhapatnam. The schools of fishes are gradually moving towards our north because the equator part is getting much more hotter. Now, with the land, what they are doing is to move up. You move up the mountain, it is much more colder. So what is happening in Kerala is that most species are gradually moving up the western Ghats. They are gradually moving up. And when they move up, I think there is something which we have learned in school, a word called ecosystem, right? You might have, the teachers would have tried to teach you what an ecosystem is. Ecosystem, the best example used is a pond. A pond is normally called as an ecosystem, and teachers would say that there are many different species in a pond, but they are all connected with each other through a nutrient web. And energy passes through that, nutrients passes through that web, and all the species are interconnected. But when the temperature increases, what happens is that the species move, and they all doesn't move together. Those who can walk, they walk away. Those who can fly, they fly away. Those who crawl, they crawl away. Those who can hop, they hop and go. But they go at their own pace. So what actually happens is that the integrity of the ecosystem is fractured. So that is the first thing. The second thing is that they are moving up the mountains. And what will happen to the species already on the top of the mountains? Top of the mountains, we scientists call us sky islands. Basically because you take a mountain peak, you have a particular set of species living there. Those species can only live in another mountain peak, almost at the same elevation. But they cannot come down and go up the next scale. So they are locked there. That is why we call us the mountain peaks as sky islands. So what will happen to the species which are living on the sky island? There also the temperature is increasing, and the lower species they are climbing up the mountain. So the species on the top, they will just disappear. That is what we call as the local extinction. And Kerala is going through a high amount of local extinction. And since we have a huge biodiversity, most of them of which we have to not be numbered, we don't know the name of the species even. So we will not be able to name them before they are gone. So we are now in the process of that big extinction process which is happening. Now, the response to this particular big crisis is not equal across the human beings. We are not all alone. We have another set of people whom we call as the indigenous people, who are either living inside the forest or very close to the forest. And their worldview is totally different. They don't subscribe to this particular development model. They don't increase their carbon footprint to be happy. They have a stable carbon footprint which is about the lowest in the world, and they have totally different take on most of the things. And I'll try to explain a few differences, cardinal differences. One of the important differences is that from our mainstream population to the indigenous people is that they think that their life is being seen by all their ancestors. Their father, mother, grandmother, grandfather, all the line of people above them. They are seeing the life of every individual, not just their ancestors. The animals which are dead, whom they knew, like the elephants, the tiger, the leopards, the deer, the goats. So they believe that their life, whatever they do, is seen by all these dead animals and dead ancestors. And that is precisely the reason why they cannot roam. they cannot do anything wrong because they are in the gaze of everybody looking at it. And they don't wrong because they are afraid of the police, just like we people are. We take a helmet basically not to protect our head, but to escape from the police finding us. So that is the way we look at it. But for an indigenous person, he cannot do a wrong basically because he is under the gaze of a large number of people and animals who are no more on this planet. The second thing is that they are, we normally call them ecosystem people. There are ecosystem peoples at different levels. We have ecosystem peoples along the shore, like the fishermen over there. They, wherever they are tied very closely to nature, so that you cannot just pull them up and put them in another place. They will completely suffer if displaced. It is not just a question of livelihood. If you take a fisherman family from the coast and put them in the interior of the state, what happens is that in the morning when they wake up, unless they see the big expanse of the sea in front of them, they will feel suffocated. Because that big expanse is part of them. Similarly, the forest, the people who are living in the forest, if you take them from there and put them outside, they cannot survive because the forest is very much part of their life out there. And wherever they are living, the nature remains undamaged because they know that their life is very much linked to this particular forest which is living over there. For the past 1 week, large number of people in Wayanad in Kerala have been behind a tiger. Maybe I think you have seen the news. And luckily for all of them, the tiger was found dead, or else it would have been killed. And we have a chief minister who told the forest department that if you are not doing what you are supposed to do, we will invoke other laws like disaster management laws to kill the tiger. And everybody was behind it. What is essentially happening? This is an interesting story. There's a plant called Senna spectacularis. You might have heard of seen the state tree of Kerala, which is Cassia fistula, Kanikonna, with beautiful golden flowers. Now, the forest department in Wayanad decided to plant this Konna tree along the roadsides. So they wanted large number of trees. So what they did was to buy the seeds from Karnataka. And when the seeds arrived, the seeds were not of Cassia fistula, but it was of another species called Senna spectacularis. And Senna seeds, they belong to the same family, and the seeds look almost the same. So they made saplings in the nursery. And when it's a small sapling also, you don't understand the difference between these two plants. They look very similar. So they planted along the roadsides of Wayanad. Some very, what I should say, very loyal officers, they planted a few saplings around the office in Muthanga, office for the Muthanga Wildlife Sanctuary. So they planted a few trees around it also. In 5-6 years, the plants grew up, obtained sexual maturity, they started to produce flowers. It was almost at the same time that the bamboo flowered in Wayanad. And bamboo, when it flowers, it's a mass flowering. All the bamboo will be flowering together. And after flowering, they will be gone. It belongs to the grass family. So just like any grass after flowering, it perishes. So large expanse of area, bamboo flowered and it perished. And there's a large availability of sunlight in many different places. And to that area, the Senna spectacularis invaded. It went inside. It had large expanse to spread out, and they started expanding. And the problem with Senna spectacularis is that wherever it grows, it doesn't allow any other species to grow. There is not even grass beneath a Senna tree. So what happened was that the expansion rate was so huge, it spreads nearly 25 to 26 square kilometers every year. Just like wildfire is going in, and wherever it is there, herbivores like deer doesn't have any food to eat on. So what happens is that they have to move to new places. And when the herbivores move to a new place, it's not much of a problem. But following that, the carnivores will also have to move to prey on them. But when the carnivores move, that's a totally different story because they have territories. They live in their territories. So what with either a tiger or a leopard moving out of its territory is entering the territory of another animal. There will be conflict happening over there, and once conflict happens, it will invariably lead to damage of either one or both of the animals. And once they are injured, they will not be able to hunt because hunting is a serious activity. You have to be extremely in good health to do a hunting. You have to run behind the deer, chase it, catch it. It's a tough job. So once injured, what will happen is that they will resort to domestic animals which are tied. And when they feed on the domestic cattle, there will be big hue and cry. And man, normally they don't feed on human beings. Basically because long back, we started the process of cremating dead bodies, basically to escape from the carnivores. Because carnivores doesn't feed on any kill just on that day. It takes many number of days to finish the meal. It's very tough to eat a body just after kill. It has to disintegrate. So what they do is to take it to either the tree top or a safe place so that other animals doesn't feed on it. And after 2, 3, 4 days, the meal becomes much more tasty. So that is when they finish off the meal. But then if they kill a human being, other people will come and take the body and will invariably cremate it. So for them, killing a human being is not very profitable because they will just get one bite. The next days, this is the way in which human beings escaped the carnivores. And so human beings are not in the killing of any of the carnivores. It feeds when it is feeds on human beings because human beings are very easy prey. We cannot run just like a deer runs, or we cannot climb a tree just like the monkeys do. So if they decide to kill us, it's an easy thing. So they do it only when they are really unable to feed on other animals. Similarly, so that is what happened. That a tiger was very big. The postmortem says that it was unhealthy and it had injuries. And that is why it got on a goat and also a lady. And for this particular incident, the tribal people, the indigenous people, have got a totally different take on it. They said that it is the tiger who rules the forest, and it's a god out there, and the god has come and taken my calf or my cow. So they take it as a big privilege that the god decided to come to their house and take their cattle. And they say that we get everything from the forest. The only thing once in a while, we give a cow or a bull to the forest. So, so that's the way they take it. And that's the only people whom I have seen singing and dancing as part of their life. Do we do that? When I see the movies in Kerala, there will be huge number of songs are there. But then I never see couples dancing or singing a song together out there. So I think maybe we cannot do that in this particular society. That's why we make films out of it. So at least we can see the films. And these are the indigenous people. They have the music inside them. They have the dance inside them. And their music, their songs have got a large amount of information inside them. Filled with geography, filled with history, filled with natural history. Every song is brimming with a large amount of information. And they are the only people who understand nature. Today morning, surprisingly, I heard a story from a white man. And he went to Africa to of his research, and the people over there were so surprised that this man cannot hear the stars talking. They were really surprised that, and they told him this person will be very sick, or why shouldn't he hear the stars speaking? They never understood that. And for the white man, he had never ever heard of this. He was perfectly fit, and the indigenous people out there thought that this man is sick or something has happened to him, so that he is unable to hear the stars speaking. And stars has got a totally different meaning for those people. They are friends, they are the people, they are compass to show the direction, to indicate which part of the year they are, which time of the night they are in. So there's a large amount of information which they have. But what we are not trying to do is to kill them. We are trying to kill them by different ways. The first way is to uproot them, take them out from the forest and put them at other places. And once they are taken out, they are almost finished. And that is a process ongoing. And we are directly killing them also. We just kill them. And there are different ways of killing. Either the officials kill them, or mainstream population kill them. And another way is to stop reproduction of those people. They marry quite early. And whenever they marry, the first night is normally spent in the police station, because the police will charge the POSCO act and take both of them and put them in the police station. Then there is a long struggle for doing that. I still remember a health department official who was accused of taking a tribal boy for castration to the hospital. So I wonder how the government employee decides to do that. So we are formally killing them, and informally we are killing people like Madhu, local people who just kill them. And when Madhu was killed, the chief minister went to that place. He went to Atapadi. And what was interesting was his comment. What he should have told was to the mainstream population not to lay their hands on this tribal or indigenous people. Instead, what he told was that he would make mental hospitals for tribals in Kerala, as if it's their problem. And Madhu is a very interesting case in the sense that it was the third time this is happening. The first time it happened in Tamil Nadu. The second time it happened based on the first story. A film was made in Tamil Nadu. The name of the film is Kadal. Balaji made that film. And it was the same story when it comes to Madhu. You beat him, make him, you damage his brain so that he is disoriented, and then you accuse him of being mad and you kill him. So this is the way we are dealing with human beings. A couple of weeks before, when I was speaking to small kids in Toronto, a boy asked a question. We normally speak of cat family, we speak of dog family. In cat family, we have the cat, we have the leopard, we have the tiger, we have the lion. All those belong to the cat family. In the dog family, we have the dog, we have the jackal, we have other related species, all under the dog family. And the question was this, but where is the human family? Where are our relatives? I told the audience that I can tell the answer, but the answer is going to be really painful. But they demanded for the answer. I told them that what we did was to kill them all. We just killed the Neanderthals, who would have been part of our, we lived together for quite some time, but in the process we completely exterminated them. Our advantage was the strong communicative system which we evolved, wherein we could connect with different people together and we can do an organized crime much better than a Neanderthal. So that was our big advantage. നന്നായിട്ട് പ്രൊട്ടക്ഷൻ പിടിക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്ന ഒരു സ്പീഷീസ് ആയിരുന്നു നമ്മൾ. So we kill all our relatives.